Here is an update on the new RTS game project previously known as Paths to Supremacy, but now called Hyperwar. It is being made in the Unreal Engine 4 by a solo developer and it is looking amazing so far. The hottest and latest gameplay clips are fresh from the developer and show the attack helicopter unit in action. These are going to be fast and agile units with both a missile and cannon weapon system which can take out tanks very quickly but still be vulnerable to anti-air fire. You will be able to take a backseat in action and watch the combat happen from the canopy inside these attack helicopters, just as you can with other vehicles. I think that the developer's decision to keep them as low-flying, buildable units which come from helipads is a good one, and I know from my community poll results that you agree with me on this. These aircraft will be built in the player's base during each mission and will also keep with the RTS game convention of having much lower range than in real life to keep them balanced and present in combat on screen. Because this is the newest feature of Hyperwar, do expect it to change in the future, but also consider it as a window to more new content this game is going to have, developing into a true modern RTS game. I will now show you long-range artillery units, formations, outposts, as well as base building and radar settings, sound improvements, wall turrets, shields, army and base customization, and the coolest new feature, a support cannon. The fan-favorite feature of RTS games, unit responses, has been added, and even the overall volume of other sound elements will be lowered when they speak so that you can hear them better. There is a mix of voiceover actors for both unit and base callouts and notifications.
Artillery is firing.
The quality of all of these is excellent, at least to my ears, and I think you will approve too. Some of my favorite ever RTS units quotes are
"Someone call for the doctor?"
from Warcraft 3 and
Raptor here, we control the skies.
from CNC Generals. So I hope this game spawns a few of those in the future as well. Do share your favorites in the comments below. The developer has also integrated epic music by Scott Buckley into Hyperwar, which should get it closer to its real-time strategy game inspiration from Command & Conquer, Supreme Commander, and Earth 2140. I explained these influences in my previous video on this game, where I talked about all the gameplay elements currently in development and explained the idea of the game in general. To make this a triple sound fest, the explosion sounds have been reworked and improved, which you should be able to hear during this gameplay showcase, especially with many new artillery units I have yet to show to you. When it comes to non-sound related news, the developer has created the save and load functions for Hyperwar, which wasn't easy as he told me, considering all the elements he has added to the game now. And those gameplay elements have come together in this latest and exclusive video clip I got straight from the developer himself to form a clear picture of the scale and scope of unit combat and base building in Hyperwar that you can expect to be able to play. I can only say I am very impressed with the visual and sound design, as well as the combat mechanics with unit formations, along with base building, resource collection, supply of ammo and energy, among many other gameplay systems, some of which I will talk about more in this video. Customization options, which you can save to new profiles and load them at will to use or change, are going to allow you to not only alter the paint job of your base and all the units, but their camo patterns as well, along with the flags flown by your buildings as demonstrated here. All purely cosmetics of course, with no impact on unit stats or gameplay. Starting a new mission or match in Hyperwar is a very interesting experience, which I have only seen with some minimal elements in other games before. Because here you get to pick your own starting point on the map while looking at a screen which looks like it has a bad case of electronic interference, when in fact that is your commander's view, which is like that because you do not have a good radar system covering that area of the map. To get to the radar, you first need to construct your HQ building, which gives you an initial radar range, inside of which you place power production buildings and that new radar station you require. Once it is operational and you click on it, you switch to a top-down view and have to spend more and more power, as in electricity, to increase the pixel density of your gameplay camera, or as the game calls it, sensor quality. Radar range, on the other hand, is the white circle around your base, inside of which you can build and order units around. Go outside of that ring and you lose your commander's view, as well as the ability to control units left outside of it. Again, more power, the bigger the range gets. The green dots on the map are the locations of resource nodes, where you can harvest everything you need for unit and building production. Building still happens without builder units, and for now, only the nodes for harvesting resources need a special kind of a vehicle to be deployed on them so they become operational. The turrets are fast firing and come with their own light sources, making a dusk battle look brutally cool. As for energy shields and their implementation in Hyperwar, they are linked to objects, be that a base building or a turret, and their size as well as requirements scale with the size of the object you want to shield. A very interesting thing is that you can shield your resource harvesting nodes as well, helping them stay up longer if attacked by enemies. Of course, shields are bound to your power supply, so if you lack power or have gone overboard with shields, they will start to flicker on and off until you stabilize your electricity situation. Now for one of the coolest features I have seen this developer bring into his game so far, the huge supply cannon. This thing is massive and it serves a very unique function. It can fire away supply crates beyond its minimal range, which land and service nearby buildings or units. For buildings, they can improve their repair time, while for turrets, they will restock them with ammo as long as they are in their small range. This is connected to that ammo resupply game mechanic I mentioned before. You can actually see the ammo pods now flash as they restock the ammo in the nearby turrets, giving you feedback that they are active and helping your defenses stay operational. Another element of gameplay you can notice here is that vehicles, like the main battle tank, fire projectiles in a straight line and are hitting the wall in front of the base turrets instead of the turrets behind it, while the turrets are using parabolic lines of fire and are able to hit the enemy tanks outside the base walls. Soon the wall does crumble under the barrage of tank shells, but not before almost all enemy tanks are destroyed by the turrets. I personally love this feature, as I always hated the fact that enemy tanks would shoot over walls in other RTS games despite the wall's physical height. Going back to unit customization for a moment, we can see that when a bunch of units are next to each other, small differences are noticeable between them, despite all the tanks using the same colors and camo. The painted number is different, the armor plates do not have the same color patterns, nor does the paint job of the turret or armored tank skirt match in any of the 5 vehicles. Not having copy-pasted clones of units is definitely a 2023 feature that should be in all future games. Now we come to the main part of this content update for Hyperwar. All the new kinds of artillery vehicles, unit formations and outposts. We will start with the light mobile rocket launcher vehicle, which because of its function also has a minimal firing range, like the support cannon we saw before. Inside this combat range, the artillery type vehicle is helpless against tanks, for example, but those tanks have to drive past a much longer range to close the distance, and that is where these artillery units rule. You can't help not love the slow motion view of rockets being launched into the air for a long range target hit. I am not sure if this feature will be in the final version of the game, but since for now it is only a single player game, it very well might be. It provides awesome potential for spectacle with modern vehicle combat, and I love seeing it in action. These rockets are not as accurate as tank shots because of their parabolic trajectories, so don't expect each one to hit its target even against stationary ones, but have enough of them and it won't matter. Next up is the heavy variant of the mobile rocket launcher vehicle. It has a more massive explosive payload as well as longer range. It of course comes with the same disadvantage of a minimal range for firing at targets, and it is a slow machine to move across the battlefield. The accuracy of it looks the same so far. Now we move on to the more conventional self-propelled artillery and its light variant, which might be the wrong thing to call it since it has a really big main gun which translates to a very long maximum range, as well as an extended minimal range under which it cannot target enemies. The shells from these self-propelled artillery vehicles look to be flying faster than the rockets, but they also have a higher parabolic arc. When they fire almost in sync in slow motion and the screen starts to shake, I get a pleasant tingling feeling in my fingers and itch to actually play something like this myself. If you have played anything like this before, tell me in the comments which game it was. The accuracy of this type of self-propelled artillery looks to be even lower than the rockets because of the longer range they fire at, but the splash damage also looks bigger, so there might be some sort of a trade-off. The final type of artillery we will see here is the heaviest of them all. It is another self-propelled vehicle with a massive gun and an equally impressive range. The shells are the distinct blue color as they fly. Maybe they hold plasma charges? I don't know, but they look cool, that is for sure. At this range the shells take a while to drop, but the impacts are dealing massive damage and have great blast radius. One direct hit is often enough to blow up an armored enemy vehicle. Considering the high unit count in Hyperwar, it is great to see a whole system dedicated to the formations these units can take. There is the simple double line stacked formation, but at the press of a key you can open up a menu and use many other ones, like a triangle, wedge, open square, or even a circle formation which can be modified on the fly. What impressed me the most here is how they also travel in a formation, keeping distance and not bunching up on each other and individual travel paths. Lastly, we come to the Outpost building gameplay. The Outpost is the only building besides the HQ which can grant both vision and radar range in a totally new area of the map and let you construct new buildings in that new circle. If you try to go past the barrier, which now has a new look by the way, you lose your command view due to lack of radar range. Your first steps with the new outposts are of course power generation buildings as well as unit production. But what you can also do if the need arises is to move your entire HQ operations to the new outpost. This will deconstruct your old HQ and upgrade the outpost to the full HQ. A new radar system is necessary to once again have good sensor coverage as well as radar range to expand your base. This does mean abandoning your old base completely. I hope you liked what you saw so far. Use the cards to see more new RTS games. Thank you for watching and happy gaming.